Welcome to Exodus and Omar. I am Omar Kelly, and this is Sentinel columnist Dave Hyde. And you are heartbroken, disappointed, but hopefully maybe optimistic Dolphins fans. The losses keep coming. The Dolphins are 0-3 heading into this weekend's game against the Los Angeles Chargers. I have to remind myself of that. I mourn the departure of San Diego. That was my favorite city to go to.
Bad trade-off for us sports writers.
Oh, you don't like Los Angeles?
Well, not as much as San Diego.
Oh, definitely. But the Dolphins lost to the Dallas Cowboys 31-6 after a surprisingly pleasant, competitive first half. And then in the second half, they wilted Dave. Not really a surprise that they lost to the Cowboys, but are you surprised that the game was actually competitive in the first half?
Well, let's temper this. Look, in the NFL, there's going to be competitive halves and periods, and then all the superior team's going to take. But are we going to be surprised when the Dolphins lose by a field goal one of these games? Probably not, because that's going to happen. This is the NFL, all right?
Let's hope we get to that point where we're like within a 10-point differential. I think that's the starting point for actually being competitive. My goal for this entire season was to take games into the fourth quarter, then lose them, because you know what I want. But ultimately, it's about being competitive and giving your team a chance to win games. I don't think we've seen that so far.
Well, they don't
Dave.
have a roster to be competitive. They don't have an offensive line to be competitive. They don't have a defensive line to be competitive. We can go through every
And they
unit.
took another loss on the offensive line. Danny Isadora, who had been the starting right guard for the first 3 games, he's going on IR. They also lose Alan Hearns. Fortunately, Rashad Jones and Albert Wilson are coming back. They practiced today. Hopefully they practice all week and can be on the active roster for the game. Dave, you get your second best defensive player, your best offensive weapon. Does that make you optimistic, Dave?
Well, optimistic to what?
Keeping it within 10 points?
Yeah, I'm optimistic. So they set out.
Both players can make plays that can change the course of a game.
Yes, and if it gets to them, they can. Yeah, but on the other hand, in the trenches, they just keep being pushed around so badly. And Taco Charlton, he had a sack. I get it. But there were also some plays you saw why Dallas released him. Okay, and he played a lot.
I am not a Taco Charlton fan from that draft that he was in, the 2017 draft. I didn't like him at all. Even though there was talk about the Dolphins selecting him in the first round, I was like, absolutely not. There just wasn't enough pass rushing moves. There just wasn't enough finishing skill. However, you can't name another player that's actually making plays as a defensive end.
Well, by making plays.
He made a play. He made a play. He was probably, him and Bobby McCain were the only defenders that made a play against the Cowboys.
Omar, he got destroyed on some running plays. I don't mean just not out of the way. I mean, it's like, oh, look. When one team releases him, they release him for a reason. That doesn't mean his career's over
doesn't
with.
Mean he's not an NFL player.
Not at all. Not at all. And maybe he gets a wake-up call. But
if there was a team that he could actually prove he's an NFL player, it was this one.
This is it. He's going to get a chance.
Is there anything that surprised you about last week's game against the Cowboys?
Pleasantly surprised, Josh Rosen stepped in and made some nice plays. He doesn't have enough around him to really, and I wrote about this, to judge what he's going to be. It's just not he's stepping into, a smelly situation here.
So did Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick stepped into a 500 team. Yeah. No, excuse me. I'm on a flashback to Ryan Tannehill. I was like, whoa. So, yes, Ryan. You know what? The difference is Ryan Fitzpatrick's at the end of his career. He came here because this was the one place that afforded him a possibility to start. And you get that. And it gave him some decent money for. But Josh Rosen's at the start of his career. This will be the second straight year. You're not going to really get a read on him.
Oh, I got a read on him, all right.
Oh, you did?
Listen, I got a read on him.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in the next segment. Question number 1 comes from John G. If they maintained status quo and had kept Adam Gase, Ryan Tannehill, etc., would the 2019 Dolphins be 0-3 at this point in the season?
Well, let's start here. They wouldn't have lost by an average 39 points. Okay, they would have been competitive. Now, would they have beaten Baltimore? They could have.
Baltimore?
Absolutely.
Baltimore? Hell no, Dave.
What, Baltimore just snuck by Arizona last.
Baltimore has punched the Dolphins in the mouth.
Oh, quit it! They are a completely different team than those teams, and you know that. You know that.
No.
You know they're a completely different team.
They're still led by Harbaugh, who is a punch you in the mouth. We're going to blitz you on third down.
How did punching in the mouth work against Arizona? They squeaked out a win against a bad Arizona team. So if you're telling me, could a mediocre Dolphin team have beaten them at home? Yeah, they'd have a chance.
I think last year's Dolphins team had a better chance of beating Dallas and finishing them off. Clearly, the Cowboys took the Dolphins lightly.
Yes.
If the Dolphins had scored some points in the first half, maybe turned some of those red zone opportunities into touchdowns, I think we might have had a game. But I do still believe that last year's Dolphins, even with Cameron Wake, they would be 0-3 at this point in the season.
Probably, yeah.
So, I mean,
they wouldn't be losing by 39 points on average, right? We can agree with that.
We can definitely agree with that. Our second question comes from Mike. Biggest surprise so far this season has been what for you, Dave?
Boy, am I surprised by anything. The surprise is how much, and just as general, how much they've torn this roster down. I didn't think, that they would trade Laramie Tunsil. I thought there was no chance of that. Mm-hmm. And if you had told me Minkah Fitzpatrick was going to be traded, I would have said there's no chance of that happening. So, to me, what's happened to the roster is the biggest surprise.
I will give you my biggest surprise so far this year is Kalen Ballage, who is technically the starting running back for the Miami Dolphins. He is averaging 1.3 yards per carry on 17 attempts. I would have expected more from Kalen Ballage. I have watched him practice. I have watched him work. He's got heavy praise from guys that I truly respect, like Frank Gore. He is not supposed to be averaging 1.3 yards per attempt. And then Mike Gesicki. I will say that's been a pleasant surprise because, as you know, we've been doing this show, I had Mike Gesicki left for dead. There was no toughness. There was no fight. There was no getting open in the secondary. There was no contribution in the red zone. And he is actually playing like he's an NFL player. I am going to officially move him from the Michael Agnew pile into the, hey, he might have a chance to be a decent NFL player.
Wow, I guess I got to look a little closer at him because I've seen a couple plays, but to say he's going to be a regular tight end in the
he is. I don't know if he's a full-fledged starter, but you can count on him to contribute in the passing game.
All right, Omar. Denrick asks, at what point do we see other backs get a shot?
I'm in support of this. At this point, I know the offensive line.
They got a shot.
Who?
Oh, you mean beyond Kenyon Drake?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Here's my Kenyon Drake perspective. It's trade him. You're not going to re-sign him. He's a talented player.
What are you possibly going to? He's at the end of his contract. I mean, what are you going to get for him?
Some team's going to lose their starting running back, and they're going to say, Kenyon Drake for a fifth-round pick? I'll take that. And I am curious about Patrick Laird, and I am curious about Mark Walton. I think Mark Walton can do the same things that Kenyon Drake does, and I liked Patrick Laird. He's not sexy. He finds a running lane. He gets you 4 yards. And I think that's what this offense is missing.
Let's stop there. Finding a running lane. Okay. Are you finding any running lanes?
I watched the coach's film yesterday, and there were running lanes. Michael Dieter has to play better. People don't realize this, and props to you for the fact that you stepped up and you played left tackle, because that's a hard thing to do. But he's a disaster in the run game.
He's not looking good.
No.
At guard. We're talking guard.
At guard. He is the disaster in the run game at guard. And you don't expect that from a Wisconsin player. That is not the standard for a Wisconsin player.
And a third-round pick. I mean, you expect a guard to be able to
We've had a lot of bad third-round picks, Dave. Dallas Thomas. But he's not at the Dallas Thomas level, but you need more from Michael Dieter.
Dallas Thomas, didn't he just grade out as the highest-rated guard in Pro Football Focus the first 3 weeks?
Who's he playing for?
Green Bay, isn't he?
No, you're talking about.
I'm mixing up.
Billy Turner should not have been.
I'm mixing up
the
guys the Dolphins got rid of.
Listen, Billy Turner shouldn't have been waived in 2016. I understand why Adam Gase did it. He did it to send a message. But Billy Turner was a good football player.
All right, King Sir Tan Jr. wants to know: do you think Xavier Howard will ask for a trade eventually? Can I rephrase that?
Yeah,
Let me rephrase the question.
Please rephrase the question.
Omar, do you think Xavier Howard has asked for a trade.
I will say that Xavier Howard is not happy with what's going on. And I will say Xavier Howard wants to be part of the Dolphins franchise and wants to help the Dolphins build a better culture. However, Xavier Howard wants to actually play for a defense that has a pass rush and it does not have him zero coverage covering wide receivers all day long.
Yeah, well, there's the issue. People are making a big deal. He got beat. If you look at the tape, and I went back and because I was curious what's going on there. The first play is kind of confusing. Now the other ones, he's covering
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper makes a move. Xavier Howard's on him, and then Xavier Howard, you can tell he's looking back because he's expecting the ball. Because usually in the NFL, you only get so long to throw the ball because a pass rush is coming. He's having to cover so long that he's kind of confused, and then that led to the frustration and the ejection in the game. I'm sure of that, what's going on.
He's frustrated. He's unhappy. It's a byproduct of what they're doing on defense. They run a very vanilla defense, and it's disappointing. They don't blitz. And I understand that you're having problems getting to the quarterback, but what's the solution if you're having problems getting to the quarterback? Ratchet up the pressure. Now, if you don't
and what were we told before the season? That the schemes were going to bring the pressure.
Schemes were going to set the edge, and schemes were going to apply the pressure. Schemes ain't doing jack. And you're going to get to the point where your better players do not want to be on the field. And that's an issue. They're putting their careers and their bodies at risk every single snap. Rashad Jones might come back this week. Might, because of his ankle injury. And I'm not sure if we're going to have a grown-up conversation. I'm not sure I want to put a chance. Bobby McCain's playing with a separated shoulder.
Why?
Why?
Let's talk ethics and football. If you're putting out a team that's going to lose by 39 points, are you also going to put people in danger? And on some level, you are putting people in danger.
They are.
Okay,
yeah.
But then typically veterans will play through some small injury that they can.
But why should they?
That's what I'm asking. Why should they? Would you?
No, I would not.
I would not
Bobby
either.
McCain, go get the shoulder repaired. Shut it down. I understand you're a competitor. You want to play. You're a captain. I get it. But at some point, you got to look out for self. And I am part of the, self generation. I don't believe in all this team bullcrap that people preach, especially not in football. You got to look out. Every NFL player, they are 53 individual franchises, and they have to look out for their best interest. You think it's past the Miami Dolphins to cut Bobby McCain this year?
Well, here's what I would say. In the offseason, you are completely selfish. During the season, you have to give in to some of that in the team. Now, this is an exceptional year where you got to look out for yourself, and if you're hurt, don't play through and you're a veteran, and so that's what I would say about team sports and selfishness. Okay, so last week the Miami Dolphins finally pulled the plug on the 15-year veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick. According to Brian Flores, Josh Rosen outperformed him in practice last week and earned his first NFL start with his new franchise. We all knew that this was coming, but was it done prematurely, Omar?
I think it was a little and I understand that he outperformed him in practice, and you want to send the message: the guy who performs the best is going to be out on the field. And that there's some merit there. But Brian Flores has said, hey, Josh Rosen is going to be our starting quarterback against the Chargers. I know he said that earlier last week before he did make the switch. But about Ryan Fitzpatrick. But let's suppose Ryan Fitzpatrick outperforms Josh Rosen this week.
Is this going to be a revolving door of practice? Look, the
idea
is, right, let's be serious here. Does it really make a difference?
No, it doesn't make a difference.
Now, they were awful with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
One quarterback has a 45.3 passer rating. The other quarterback has a 44 passer rating. It's not going to make a difference.
But you could see a coach trying to find a spark, any spark at all.
Yes.
Okay, there's a sense of desperation in the move, but also, look, this was a move that should have happened at the game one.
I'm not disagreeing. Here's my thing about why it's a little premature. I officially have the November 4th date as the date that I'm officially mentally checking out on this Dolphins team.
What do you mean by mentally checking out?
I don't care about this season anymore.
That was from the first
No,
quarter
I still
when
care.
Baltimore went 5 straight possessions to touchdowns.
I still care.
Okay, they are who we thought they are.
Yeah, now you put Josh Rosen in, and yeah, it's about seeing his development and seeing his progression. I ultimately know what's going to happen. He doesn't have much to work with on the offensive line. The team can't run the football. It's going to be a disaster. Now, November 4th, the season's going to be done. Like, I have no Adam Gase games to check into. I'm not curious about
what do you mean it's done? From the sense of, isn't it done now? Everybody's looking. We're counting down to the draft.
There's Josh Rosen to watch, but by November 4th, I'm be done watching Josh Rosen.
The idea that Josh Rosen had a chance to succeed was lost once you saw what team they're putting out there. When they traded Laramie,
he still has a chance.
When they traded Laramie Tunsil, that said any pretense of having an actual NFL team is gone.
If you put a respectable defense on the field, you want to obsess about Laramie Tunsil. Don't forget they traded away their top tackler.
I'm talking to help Josh Rosen.
If
we're talking judging Josh Rosen, he had one, and then you could mix up the blocking schemes to help. But if you have one great lineman, they have nobody out there now. Okay. Omar, how many games do we need to see?
This question comes from O.J. Highway.
Yeah, how many games do we need to see before we can make an accurate judgment on Josh Rosen? And your answer, I know, is 0, right?
I know what I need to know. Here, let me explain this to people. There are about 10 throws per game that a quarterback gets to make, where he's got to make those throws to convert third downs, to convert in the red zone, to deliver on big plays, to set up defenses, to avoid sacks. Those 10 plays are the difference between you being a winning team and a losing team. Quarterbacks, I say this all the time, Dave, they have to make the tide rise. They have to make your crappy offensive line look a little bit better with the pocket presence. They have to make your receivers look better by throwing the ball in positions where only your receiver can get the ball. Josh Rosen doesn't need, he's got a good pocket presence. But in those 10 throws that I call them big boy throws, that you need a quarterback to make, he doesn't consistently make them.
Have you seen one game? You're talking practice. You're talking practice.
No. I've watched all of his plays in Carolina.
In Arizona, where the offensive line was just as bad as here. I'm saying,
don't make excuses, Dave.
I'm saying, give it a chance.
I'll give it a chance. I'll give it 8 games.
All right. So 8 games is your answer.
November 4th.
8 games is your answer. All right.
Steve Rodriguez wants to know, as Preston Williams continues to progress and limits the drops, can he be someone we build the offense around?
Whoa, that's a big step from where we are right now. How about hold on to the ball? He's getting it open. Give him that. He's second straight week.
That was a knockdown. Don't discredit.
Wait. The question is build an offense around.
Okay.
I don't want the ball knocked out from the guy I'm building my offense around. That's when you're open in the end zone, you come down with the touchdown. If you're building the offense around, let's be fair to Preston Williams here, okay? Let him get into his career. Let him make some plays, develop, make mistakes, like the undrafted rookie he is before we put on building the offense around. He's shown. He's shown something.
Yeah.
Now let him grow into that.
I am fine with what he's done. I understand he's dropped more than his share of passes. You would certainly like him to be bringing in those passes. That's the difference between the elite receivers and then the Devontae Parkers. Right now, let's just expect him to be Devontae Parker and hopefully healthier. Yeah, Dave, I said it. I want him to be Devontae Parker.
Your bar for him is Devontae Parker?
Devontae's a fringe NFL starter.
I know. That's you would hope.
That's my bar as a rookie.
Okay.
That's my bar as a rookie. Why isn't that a realistic bar as a rookie?
I want in December you come and say, okay, Preston Williams, there's a guy we can count on. That would be the hope.
11 receptions, 155 yards, 1 touchdown. He scored this team's only touchdown, Dave. Put some respect on his name.
Zach wants to know, can the O-line and D-line be rebuilt in one season?
Woo! Considering they haven't rebuilt it properly in a decade, I would say no. I'm very, very, very uncomfortable with what I'm seeing. You know I love the trenches. That's
Omar, no, don't do that. You've gone 180 on me. The 2015 Omar would look at you sideways right now because all you're talking about is the quarterback.
Listen,
don't do that. I love the trenches.
I love the trenches. The offensive line, it is going to be what it is. You don't have a right tackle. You don't have a left tackle. It is what it is.
Don't have a right guard.
You don't have. You got two rookies starting at guard. It is what it is. But this defensive line, there's no damn excuse for what you're seeing. It's horrendous. The defensive tackles are getting moved off the ball.
Well, I will say in the first half last week, the defensive tackles weren't getting moved off the ball.
They gave up 123 rushing yards in the first half.
Not as much as they were in the second half.
I think they're playing too many snaps. I think there needs to be a better rotation of the defensive tackles.
Christian Wilkins, 85% the first week in the Heat. That's a lot of snaps.
Yeah, that's a lot of snaps. That's why I've always said defensive tackles shouldn't play more than 600 snaps per game because the efficiency
per season.
Yeah, and really, you're not getting what you need to get from Godchow and Wilkins. And I'm not even going to start with the ends because the ends are a disaster. Just throw it in the trash.
So can the lines be rebuilt in one offseason?
No. And here's the reason why I say no. Even though you got $120 million worth of cap space to spend, you're not going to be able to lure the top-tier free agent pass rushers to this team without a $120 million contract. And I don't see that. I also don't think that you need to use resources in the draft because when you use resources in the draft to draft a pass rusher early, unless it's a top 5 pick, you're probably going to get Charles Harris.
Well, or you'll get somebody to develop who has some
Isn't Charles Harris developing?
No. No, I think we're past the development stage here. Are we?
What about Taco Charlton?
Well, we just got him. We'll see.
Yeah, it's tragic.
But this is a scary thing to me of what they've done. They have torn the roster so far down that where do you start rebuilding? I mean, you need everything rebuilt.
You need everything.
And everybody says, oh, they got a lot of draft picks, they got a lot of money. Teams are a lot smarter in what free agents they're letting go.
No question.
And you look at who's signed and the impact they're making. They make a big headline, oh, we got so-and-so. And then you look at the impact the next year, and they don't correlate.
So for what price? Yeah,
yeah, for the price.
When you have these 12 draft picks, and a ton of them are in the early rounds, you need to go get Tua. I'm no secret about that at the number 1 pick, and you actually.
I've been talking to NFL people, 2 guys who scout these, and they said Tua's probably the bet, but it's not Andrew Luckish. He's not stand out, and they're open-minded that let's see what plays out this year.
We're not going to have any Tua.
We're going to have that
on this show, sir.
It's not slandering; it's reality talk, Omar.
Listen, the Dolphins have faced a murderous row of the opening season. It has been tough. You got the Baltimore Ravens. We all know that's the Debo for the Miami Dolphins. They bully the Dolphins every single year. Then you've got the reigning Super Bowl champion and the New England Patriots. And then the Dallas Cowboys, who, I think they're a pretty well-built team. I know you won't put any respect on Jerry Jones' name.
I don't see him winning.
They just beat the Dolphins 3-0. 3-0 to start the season,
I'm saying winning anything consequential. I haven't seen it in 25 years, Omar.
We'll see, Dave. We'll see. Now you've got Miami facing their 4th playoff team from the 2019 season, the Los Angeles Chargers, which is a franchise that has had success recently, but isn't where they need to be with Phillip Rivers. And this week there's a possibility that Melvin Gordon comes back, Dave. Melvin Gordon.
Imagine he'd come back to play the league's worst rushing defense.
Oh man!
You think he's looking at? Okay, what game do I want to come back?
If I'm Melvin Gordon, I don't want to miss out on playing the Miami Dolphins. I'm just saying, he's possibly going to come back from his hurled out earlier. But it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Where do you see Phillip Rivers standing, Dave, in the hierarchy of this generation's quarterbacks?
Well, he's a notch below the great ones. Okay, he's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers.
Big Ben.
Big Ben's won a Super Bowl or two.
Yeah.
I don't see Phillip Rivers has done that. So, and again, you can't put it all on the quarterback. But if you say where he is, I'd say he's in that second level.
Is he an NFL elite quarterback still?
An elite quarterback?
An elite quarterback.
I haven't looked at him enough this year to know. They're 1-2. They've struggled. Is it on him? I think their offensive line, like a lot of teams we're going to talk about, but their offensive line is an issue too. Can the Dolphins take advantage of that?
No.
Well, Oh. Well, but this is a game, as opposed to the first three, where I said they have no chance of winning. This is a game where I see the possibility. I'm not picking them, but I see the possibility.
The Chargers have struggled here in South Florida. They don't travel well to the East Coast.
Well, they're coming east. They're playing at 10 a.m. for them. They got a lot of injuries already. Seems like the Chargers always have injuries.
They do. They do. They always have injuries. Our next question comes from Doug. Of the following games, Doug wants to know Washington, Pittsburgh, 2 versus the Jets, the Giants, Cincinnati. Which are you more likely to end up with a victory with to spoil this tank for Tua season?
Man, that's such a pessimistic thought, isn't it? Lose that number one. Have this awful season.
Yeah, no.
Would that be so Dolphin?
I wrote a column in Sunset. Like I am. You know, Lord of the Ring, where I forget what the little creature is, where it's about the precious.
The Hobbit?
Ring. I don't know what it is. Where he's like, my precious.
Yeah.
You got to get the number 1 pick. You've come this far stripping down this team. They can't run. They can't pass protect. They can't stop the run. They can't pressure the quarterback.
They can't do anything to an NFL standard.
Yes, that is correct. That is a fair criticism of the Miami Dolphins.
Anything.
They cannot do anything to an NFL standard.
Maybe punt.
Okay, their special teams is even sucky.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Listen, so if we've gone this far, you need to be number 1 bad. Now, I am concerned about the Cincinnati Bengals. Zach Taylor, we've had here in South Florida. I know he's not an NFL head coach.
Well, let's look at this.
Okay.
Cincinnati was up 17-14 in Buffalo in the final minutes, and they lost 21-7. That's a competitive team.
Yeah.
Have we seen anything that merits anything? Okay,
This
they can
might
be
be the
competitive.
week the Dolphins could be
we
competitive.
need to see that. That's why I'm not.
Yeah. So you're saying let's wait until we see the Dolphins competitive
I
first.
want to see that they can be competitive against anybody, and this would be a week to show that.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you what, coming off the bye, they play the Redskins.
Ooh.
And now
Got you a little queasy like Joe Philbin?
I get a little nervous about these games coming up.
Yeah.
You know, no one said it would be easy, Omar, losing them all.
Listen.
No one said it would be easy.
It's going to take some guys going on IR. Bobby McCain, you might need that shoulder surgery, sir. Listen, we've come this far. Let's not screw
Got
it up.
13 more weeks, one loss at a time.
One loss at a time,
All right.
Dave.
Omar, Ian Mason asks, are the Jets the biggest threat to the Dolphins' tank job this season? Everybody's getting a little nervous, I can tell.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe that competitive first half against Dallas made people say, wait a minute here. Let's calm down. I know Adam Gase. Adam Gase, as I wrote in my column, as Chris Greer said, he'd probably kill his family dog to win a game. It's just the way he's wired. He's very competitive, very ego-driven, very power-hungry, and
very immature, too.
And very immature.
Very immature.
That's true.
Okay, look, any NFL coach is
and
very competitive.
He will want to run up the score on the Dolphins.
Well, yeah, of course he will.
Yeah.
That's the way he's wired.
That's exactly. So I'm not too worried about the Jets. They'll get Sam Darnold back from mono. Le'Veon Bell is too talented a player for Miami to stop him.
They got Mosley coming. They have talent to win 4 or 5 games. And a great excuse for Adam Gase, I lost my quarterback.
Of course, he needs his
I
excuse.
lost my quarterback.
But the Bengals now, Dave, they legitimately have me concerned. There's going to be a Tua Bowl in December with the Miami Dolphins hosting the Bengals. That's the game to watch.
It used to be the Giants, but Daniel Jones might have played them out of the Tank Bowl. So we got a few Tank Bowls.
We got a few
up.
tank contenders. There are teams that have me concerned, Dave.
All right, Bryce wants to know, do you think Tua's growth is limited at the next level because he comes from Alabama's system? That's something you mentioned with other Alabama players.
This is a fair concern and a fair question.
All scouts say this.
Alabama players, they're about as good as they're going to be coming out of that program because they've been tremendously coached well.
Well, I see, not as good as they're going to be, but they're not going to make this great leap of improvement.
No, you're correct.
Because they got the techniques down, they got the coaching down, everything is NFL level.
What makes me so certain that Tua is the guy is you watch him in the RPOs, read pass option plays, and he's athletic enough to run it. He can read a defense where he makes the quick decisions. He throws with accuracy. That is the best thing that Tua does. He throws with accuracy. If you watch Alabama, and certainly, hopefully they play more competitive games, Tua throws a slant pass. It's undefendable. If you put it, he puts it in the right place where, it's either pass interference, an incompletion or a knockdown, or it's caught. That's 7 easy yards per play. If on first down you throw a slant and you get 7 yards, second and third downs become easy. And that's not just in Alabama. You could do it in the NFL. If you can throw a good, crisp slant, and even when defenses start to defend the slant, then you throw it out. He does the simple things extremely well that makes me think he's going to be the next Steve Young. My only concern is his durability. He's a tiny guy, whether he can take some hits. And then also another concern, whether he wants to play in South Florida for the Miami Dolphins. That is a concern.
Who cares? Draft him. It's like Minka. Oh, he didn't want to play here. He's under contract for 4 more years. Who cares? You think Jacksonville's going to trade Ramsey? They're going to trade Ramsey?
Ramsey's got the flu this week.
There's no chance
he might have mono next week.
So what?
Okay, you just sit on him. Go ahead, do that.
So
this is a different era of players, Dave. They have realized in the NFL that players, hey, we got some say, we got some power, we got some control.
You know what? You don't play, you don't get paid.
No. Certainly. No. If I get a groin injury, Dave, and I decide that I want to go on IR, I'm going to get paid. And there's nothing that you can do about it, sir.
It'll be very interesting to see how this.
This is a new era, Dave.
Well,
let's see how that
goes. Let's see how that goes.
We will see how that goes. You clearly have not dealt with Jalen Ramsey long enough.
Jalen Ramsey is a whole different case than Minka Fitzpatrick.
This is a new generation of athletes. They have power. They have say. They have influence. They watch what's happening in the NBA, Dave, and they're like,
they have no way do they have anything close to NBA power.
Listen,
and don't pretend they do.
Are saying we can get
that
there.
That is comical.
We can get there.
That is comical.
We have to take some control, Dave. Players are saying we have to take some control. They're looking out for one another. And if you don't want to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who don't want to reward you with your contract, you don't have to.
Well, let's see how that plays out. Let's see how it plays out. I could be wrong.
Minka had options.
Well, Minka had an option because the Dolphins caved. Okay, and the next thing, and what that told me is, all of a sudden, any player who comes to them and says, I want out. What are they going to do? They're going to cave. This is a
cave if they get the right price.
That was a weak move by the Dolphins.
That was a brilliant move and a brilliant trade by the Miami Dolphins, and it could land them a top 5 pick.
Brilliant trade.
It was a brilliant trade.
Come on, Omar.
You got a top 5 pick for a nickel cornerback?
Did he play nickel? Did he play nickel in Pittsburgh?
No, he played
free safety.
Because they wanted him to play.
And they said, we're going to move you all over the place. And he said, that's fine with me.
Because he's playing for a winning organization and knows what they're doing.
Well, there you go.
Hey.
Losing organizations cave in on something like that. Okay, our final question comes from Paul. What position do you take with the Steelers and Texans picks in the first round? Good Lord, we're on to this already, Omar?
Dave,
we
got to give the people what they want. Do you want to talk about the Chargers?
Best players available or solidify a specific unit?
Well, to me, you got to look at what your issues are. You can't protect your quarterback. That means you need a right tackle because Tua is a left-handed quarterback. And you also need a left tackle, move Jesse Davis to right guard. So I am signing.
So you need both tackles.
Yeah, I'm signing Jake Coughlin as a free agent, play my right tackle spot.
Who's been hurt a lot.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm good. And then that's a reason why I don't have to drastically overpay. I will overpay.
Maybe you don't care, but Tua might care when in the middle of the season he gets hurt again.
Okay. And then I'm using one of my first-round picks to draft an offensive lineman, and then I want to get one or two.
Omar, you don't know where they're picking. You don't know.
It's going to be a top 10 pick, Dave. Two top 10 picks. I'm 2 top 10 picks, Dave. Houston.
I can't believe we're doing mock drafts.
Listen,
after week 3.
You also know that you've got 2 issues. Two other issues.
You got a lot of issues.
Yeah, you do have a lot of issues.
Not 2 issues.
Yeah. Biggest issues on this team, Dave. Let's discuss this. Can't protect the quarterback. Can't open up running lanes.
You don't have a quarterback, for the future. It'll be issue number 1.
We know that issue's going to get addressed.
That's number 1 issue.
It's going to get addressed.
Well, okay. To me, the tanking is the refuge of dumb franchises, I say.
Yes, you do say that.
You're going to have to choose between quarterbacks. You are like...
Oh, no, there ain't
you
no
are like
choice.
1,000%.
There ain't no choice.
Okay.
There is going to be no Herbert. No Herbert.
Okay, where do you go after that? After Tua, which I'm not disagreeing with. I'm just saying you're too far down the road.
Draft an offensive tackle in the first round, and then go get a playmaker because Jakeem Grant.
What if Tua says, I want one of my receivers with me?
Absolutely.
Well,
let's do it.
Then you're not going to get a tackle.
Tua's calling all the shots, baby.
Absolutely he is at this point.
Tua's call. I got 3 first-round picks, Dave. 3.
Yeah,
3.
one's going to be late 20s,
I
mid
don't care.
20s.
You tell me you can't get an offensive tackle in the late 20s? You could have got the
You
Florida.
need 2 tackles.
You could have got.
You need a guard, and that's just start. You need a pass rusher.
I mean,
You need a
you
defensive
need a lot.
tackle.
You need a lot of things. You need a lot of things.
You need
Quarterback,
players.
running back, tight end, offensive line help, defensive line help, pass rushers,
Receivers.
You don't really need linebackers. I think you can make it through receivers. Oh God, how did I forget receivers?
I don't know.
You need a safety.
So that's what I'm saying.
You need a cornerback.
You know what you need? You need impact players.
You need talent.
So don't sit there and say
120
here in
million?
September,
120 million, Dave?
next spring they're going to
120
draft a. We've gone through this. That is overrated in today's free agent.
You're right. You're gonna have to
How
pay.
did that work out for the Jets with all their free agent money? Oh, they had this 120 million too. How's that working out for them?
Hey, they got a pretty good linebacker who's injured, and they got a really great running back who's getting frustrated.
There you go.
Yeah. Prediction time, Dave. Let's see. Are you going to keep it under the 16.5 point spread here?
I am. I'm going to
All
be
right.
optimistic. I'm going under. I think the Dolphins are going to cover for the first time this year. God, there he went. I did it.
San Diego Chargers. Yeah.
Chargers 30, Dolphins 17. I'm optimistic.
30.
Dolphins getting 7.
You got this Dolphins defense wilting?
I have them having their best game of the year, 30.
All right, I'm going to go with the 28-14 Los Angeles Chargers victory. We miss San Diego so much. Why?
It's such a beautiful city.
It was such a beautiful city.
Los Angeles so spread out. San Diego, you just go. You can walk around downtown. It's pretty.
But they'll be in Vegas soon. Dolphins are throwing this big old Super Bowl draft party in Vegas.
Paradise, Nevada. That's where the draft is.
They're like selling tickets. I was on a flight home from Dallas, and season ticket holders were on it, and they're like, "Yeah, man, I got my ticket to Vegas." I'm like, "Huh? That's what you're excited about this season?"
What else do you have, Omar? So both of us picked Chargers over the Dolphins, but this is a game. Unlike the first few,
It's close. It's winnable.
It's a possibility.
You get Rashad Jones back. You get Albert Wilson back. Those are 2 top playmakers. Hopefully, Taco Charlton and Charles Harris can pressure Phillip Rivers. Let's hope. And maybe the Dolphins can run. Well, thank you for watching the X's and Omar. Omar Kelly, Dave Hyde. We'll see you next Wednesday at noon.